Right, welcome back to Break at the Apex, where we talk about balls of steel, because that is what we are about to talk about today. Yeah, you laugh, but listen, certain drivers either don't have balls or they've got balls of steel. One of the two, because the man is fearless. But listen, it's fine. We're going to get into that later. We are going to talk about the race review of Imola, which
hmm
before we get into the actual race review, BT, I want to hear your thoughts. Imola has been taken off of the calendar from next year on, and after watching this race, I got to hear your thoughts. What do you think about that?
Which race
Mistake? Not a mistake?
mistake? Which circuit is actually replacing it? That's the question.
Well, I don't think it's been confirmed yet because it won't be South Africa. Because if we're gonna get the race, it will probably be in 2027. So
Yeah.
it won't be South Africa. I know Madrid is coming, but I think Barcelona is also finished. So I
hmm
think Barcelona will be replaced by Madrid. So I'm not particularly sure what is replacing Imola. I put it this way. I thought this was an amazing race. I think it's a mistake to get rid of Imola just based on this race. But we have
Yeah.
had races in the past at Imola that haven't been that great. But I will say, if they are going to replace it with something like Hockenheim, I'm for it because I
Yeah.
missed that. I
I
missed that
mean,
track.
the only thing that I don't want us or Formula One to add again is a street circuit. I think we have too many street circuits at this point.
Well,
You know,
for
Baku
sure.
is
And Madrid is going that way.
yeah. So we're gonna have Madrid as a street circuit, Baku, Miami, Monaco. So that's four.
No, there's more. No, there's Baku, there's Miami,
Mhm.
there's Monaco,
Monaco,
there's
yes.
Singapore,
Singapore,
there
Miami.
is Miami, Vegas.
Sure.
Jeddah is sort of like a Jeddah's a hybrid.
It's a
Jeddah's a
hybrid.
hybrid.
Yeah.
Um, there is. I feel like I'm missing one somewhere. Technically, Albert Park is somewhat of a park street track, kind of
Yeah.
technically.
Hybrid
Yeah,
in a way.
but it's yeah. I feel like I'm missing one here or two. But the point is, I get your point. But the point is that yes, we definitely. Oh, and Madrid. Madrid is coming.
Yeah.
Madrid will be coming. That's a street track. So I mean, I get your point. And I agree. I agree. But although I will say this, and I said this when we spoke about Cape Town getting a race. I don't know. I know they're going to change the cars now, but it does seem like we've actually had, besides Monaco, most of the street tracks have actually been giving us good races lately. I mean, we think about Miami was good, Vegas has been good,
hmm
Singapore has been good. We've had some good Singapore races.
Yeah.
Baku's usually pretty good. I can't really think of a boring Baku. So to me, the street races have actually been pretty decent of late, and that was my argument with Cape Town is that if you look at the backdrop from a global perspective, it's actually better for Formula One. And if you consider how street races have been going lately, it's probably not that bad because it's not going to be like a Monaco kind of race. It will probably be more, I don't know, maybe it would be more like a Monaco. I don't know.
Nah, I don't
Anyways,
think
it
so.
doesn't matter.
I don't think so. Probably
The
be
point, the
like
point,
a Baku race. I think so. And Las
yeah,
Vegas. I mean, the streets in
there's
Monaco
space.
are quite narrow. Surely though, the
Exactly.
streets in Cape Town are much wider than the streets in Monaco.
Exactly. Exactly. That's kind of where my thought was going. So in that sense, I don't think a race in Cape Town would be a bad idea,
Not at
but
all.
I still echo this. But I still echo the same thing that it is kind of boring sometimes to have these street races when you can have
Yeah.
like an Imola, for example, that is
Like a
amazing. You know,
traditional Formula One circuit, bro. You know.
100%, hundred
But yeah.
percent. Anyways, let's get into the race review because I think that's what most people are here to listen to. If you are from South Africa and did enjoy listening to this whole Cape Town conversation, head over to TikTok. There's a lot of talk over there on our channel. We had a long live and a lot of videos regarding the Cape Town situation. But anyways, let's get into the race review for Imola, and we'll start off with the front three because this was quite an interesting race. So when I say the front three, I actually mean the first four because the front three does exclude a certain George Russell, but I want to include him just for now, right? So I'm going to say this: balls of steel or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I think this is, and this is going to be maybe a wild take, and maybe some people will agree with this, but this is where Oscar has to still learn. This is where his lack of experience does come in.
Mm-hmm.
He focused on the right. He focused on the wrong guy, and he left the wrong door open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was saying this today. I was saying this to somebody today. I think he was so focused on George behind him, he didn't even see Max coming. Now, I just want to put this into perspective, and it's not the case of me saying that Max is just almighty Max or whatever. All I'm trying to point out is you got to know who you're racing against, right? And if I've got Max and George, and there's a chance that one of them are passing me, I'm letting George go because there's a bigger chance that I'm going to catch him again.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
He should have cut in front of Max, blocked him off, and let George come along the outside. In fact, it might even have kept him in first place because had he stayed on the outside on turn one, he would have gotten the inside line, which is exactly what Max did to him. So I think that's where Oscar does still have to learn. I'm not saying that Oscar is now washed and that he's still not going to be that. We've been saying he's going to be the world champion for the last couple of weeks. I still believe he's got the best chance at this point. I still believe he's got the best chance to be the world champion this year. I still believe he's an absolute talent. But I do think this is the type of things he needs to learn, especially when it comes to Max Verstappen. He has to know who he's racing. Anyways, what's your thoughts on the whole situation at turn one?
Look, obviously you saw it in another angle. I saw it in another angle as well, where I think Piastri didn't panic when Max overtook him. I think Piastri thought that eventually they will get past Max at some point because they do have the faster car. Looks like Red Bull got something from the upgrades they brought for the weekend. That car looks absolutely amazing. And Max was even impressed with the car. It's looking fast. It's looking like they head in the right direction. But I still think Piastri thought that eventually they will catch up to Max. Yes, it will be difficult for them to overtake in that circuit, but it was still possible. We saw Hamilton overtaking a lot of cars during the race, so it was possible. But I think that Piastri got his race got bothered by the strategy that McLaren had for him. I think the
Oh,
McLaren strategy during the race was not a good one because he had to go through traffic. It turned out to be that the top 10 during the race were quite quick. Hamilton was quick. Albon was quick. Russell was quick. So they were not quite easy to go past. So I think it's just a strategy that actually let Piastri down. But I think if they had a better strategy and had a strategy similar to Hamilton, I do still think Piastri would have won the race or came close in terms of 2 seconds, 1 second away from Max, maybe. But I think the traffic helped Max as well and the clean air as well. So it is what it is. I mean, you said it spot
100%.
on as well that his experience as well actually got caught
Yeah,
by Verstappen in the first lap.
for sure, for sure. I also think that Max has studied the rules so well now. If you consider this whole turn one incident thing, where
Yeah.
where
Hmm.
being alongside, being in, it's that he just knows how to get right to that point of the limit where he knew if he broke late, he was going to get in front of
Yeah.
of him by the next turn. He knew he was going to get it, and as soon as he's in front, because you see what had to happen there, and even George was actually asking what did Piastri do, but Piastri did what he had to do because he had to avoid getting smacked. But
Yeah.
I won't say that that was Max's fault in the sense of, oh, Max was reckless. I think it was just a case of Max did the late move or the late break, got slightly ahead of him. So come turn two, he's slightly ahead of him. So he can't do anything. He doesn't own the line anymore. Therefore he has to just stop and let Max go because Max is
Yeah.
ahead of him. If he tries to take Max again and they end up in an accident, it's his fault, and then he gets the penalty or whatever the case may be, you know. So I think Max was very clever in that chicane because I think he knew if he just got alongside him or just over, then he had the line for the next turn. So I think that was really clever. Um, as for strategy, yeah, McLaren's strategy was pretty pathetic for him.
Yeah,
Um, and it's not the first time. I think we see this a lot with McLaren
yeah.
with strategy. If they don't start favoring drivers soon, uh, you know,
There we go.
it's just it's a difficult one because last year it was all about the team must. It's a team sport, right? And then this year it's sort of like okay, but you know, Oscar's winning a lot, and but Oscar's won 4 races now, and Lando's won one.
Yes,
So like, surely they should just say, okay, we have to prioritize him because currently he is in they both in the title fight, but Oscar's well ahead of being the actual. I don't know if you know. I know I sound like I'm rambling a bit, but it's difficult to explain because I know a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but Lando's still in the title fight. Okay, fine then. Well, then let them race, but they don't do that either half the time.
yeah. They did it.
Half the
They did
time,
it during the race now, and I was like,
uh,
What's the purpose of it?" Because Norris
they
was
don't.
faster. Norris was faster than Piastri after the safety car. That was a given. But I think it was a bit too late for team rules at that point, I think. But at the same time, they're slowing Norris down by actually saying they should race for it. And I'm like, but what's the point though? You guys are not even close to max. So I don't know, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like all year long they've said that they'll let the racers race, and then when it comes to it, they never let them race.
Yes,
And now when they should be saying, "Whoa, don't race," just all of a
go
sudden
forth.
it's like
Yeah.
let them race. It's like, wait, hang on, well, because that little tussle between them let Max get away. They could have
Yes.
helped each other. Like this is my thing with McLaren, man. My thing with McLaren is okay. I rambled a little bit now because I wasn't sure how to explain it. But let me say it like this. Maybe I'll get to the point here. 2 McLarens against 1 Red Bull, and you telling me that they couldn't come up with a strategy to try and take him on. I mean, dude, it's not like they had a bad car. I personally feel like with the clean air and the dirty air these days, whoever was going to go past, who is ever going to win turn one is probably going to end up the winner. If Oscar got turn one, he was probably going to end up the winner. But when you have 2 drivers against one, surely you can play something. Surely you can play something. I said this before, I'll say it again. If it were Red Bull, they would have eaten one of them alive if it was two
Live.
against two Red Bulls against 1 McLaren. So that's the way I see it. But nonetheless, even though he was on faster tires at the time and so on and so on, Norris did also. He wasn't told he can pass; he raced for it.
Yes.
And I think Norris also showed that you know, be it that Oscar wasn't in the best situation with terms of strategy, but he still needs to show that he's here to win as well. And so he did that. He wasn't going to hold back or anything like that. So fair play to Norris in any case. But I think for me, um, yeah, let's move on to Red Bull.
But
You
but
explain
but
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
but before we move on or whatever, McLaren, I do think that they need to be very concerned about this race because
Mm,
Red Bull is coming. I think Red Bull got something from that
mm.
car and they finally in the right direction now. And if they continue having that type of performance on that car, then it's going to be a problem. Then I do think that, and this is my take on it, Zach Brown should be fired end of the season if they do not win the drivers' championship. That's just my take.
Well, you see, that won't happen because if they're winning the constructors, then that's what's important because that's
That's
what
not
makes it
enough. We
exciting, right?
spoke
So,
about that. It's not enough.
no, I know it isn't, but Ultimately, when you look at when the sponsors look when you look at the sponsors aren't sponsoring drivers. I mean, they are driver sponsors, but that's up to the drivers. But in terms of the team sponsors, they don't really care if the drivers win or not. They care about the team winning. So ultimately, that will never happen. I think he should get fired anyways because he just talks too damn much. But you got to respect his hustle. He's brought McLaren this far. Fair enough.
Hmm.
Um, I disagree with you though. I disagree with you. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that Red Bull, and I've had this conversation today as well. Max mentioned that the car was a bit more comfortable to drive,
Hmm.
and I feel like that's all the upgrades did. I think
That's not faster.
that
Okay.
this was,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if we can say Red Bull is back. They've caught up again. They found something. I think it's very track specific. I
Mm.
think Suzuka has a very similar track. It's very fast. It's very windy. It's very high speed. Um, he was blitz in those high speed. The car clearly favors the high speed corners. You know, we come Monaco, I think Red Bull suck again, and McLaren will be on top again. And maybe I'm wrong. We got to see. We got to wait and see. Maybe I'm wrong. All I'm saying is, I'm not going to take this race and say, okay, Red Bull are scary. I think McLaren, over the long term of the year, will still be the best car. I can't see that changing too much. But Max Verstappen in that Red Bull is just going to give them a massive headache and could potentially steal a world championship under their
Yes.
nose. Um, and but I will say, if I'm wrong and Red Bull is now sort of like found something and they one of the top cars now, could somebody please just let Yuki know? Because I think he missed the memo on that one.
Stop
I'm
it.
just saying.
You finished 10th, bro. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yes, but it's not bad. But when your teammate is winning, then you've got to also think about that for a second. You know what I mean? It's just so. So here's the thing for me. Um, if the car is really good, if they have found something and now they've gone from, let's say, having, I mean, I would say they at a stage had the fourth best car, and then Ferraris made a few stuff ups, and then I would then say Red Bull maybe the third best car. I still think Mercedes is the second best car, and then McLaren being the best car. I'd say when it comes to these fast tracks, I would then say Red Bull probably elevates up to the second or first best car, just
Mm.
based on what we've now seen. Um, but Max. The thing with Max is when he doesn't have this first or second best car, he's still there.
Yeah.
He's still close to the podium or on the podium. He's still picking up really good points. So ultimately, that title fight is going to stay alive. And when it comes to these faster tracks, if he just wins those, it's going to be a very interesting title fight, I think. So yeah, for me, that's my thoughts. I disagree with you on that. I don't think that Red Bull are just they found something. I just think it was track specific, and we'll need to wait for the next race to know, you know, exactly where Red Bull sit because we know that they do well on the fast tracks. We've seen it now in Suzuka, so I think we'll need to just wait for the next race
Yeah,
to
we'll have to
see.
see then.
Let's yeah, let's talk about Williams, and we're gonna get to your favorite part of the show later, but let's talk about Williams first because I think Williams are onto something. To be honest, there was times in that race I thought they were faster than Ferrari and
Yeah, me too.
Mercedes.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and yeah, in fact, they were faster than Mercedes, and I think they were faster than Ferrari, or at least Albon was faster than Ferrari, but you know, he got squeezed, hit the grass a bit, and that hurt him a little bit. It happens. It's racing, um, but ultimately, um, Williams solid job. Whatever they're doing and whatever they found, oh my goodness. But I am so for it because it's a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, this is a team that could barely score points 2 years ago. Even last year they struggled sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
I don't know what's
mean,
your thoughts on Williams.
Yeah, no, they're doing well. I mean, it's nothing else we can say. It's lovely to see. It's good to see that Science actually made a good choice going to Williams. Think that was a fantastic choice from him. But now the question is that how's next year's car looking? Do you understand what I mean? Are they gonna go back to the grid again, or they're gonna continue this momentum? Because they have two good drivers finally from having a good driver and a very subpar driver. Now they have two good drivers who could actually be number ones, both of them, and each driver can actually be within the points. So now the question is next year, what's happening with next year's car? Is this momentum going to build on in 2026? Are they finally going to join the top five or the top four, which will be quite interesting, you know? And that's what I think that's what I'm excited for. Um, I don't know yet what type of car it is. I mean, it's been doing well. Besides Bahrain Albon didn't finish within the points. However, ever since the season started, he's been finishing within the points. So that means he's doing really well this year. So
Mm.
we can't really compare the two drivers in terms of performance because each signed first year and Albon has been in Williams for a long time now. So I think we should
Mm.
actually expect that type of result.
Well, I mean, if you consider that Albon has had what, three fifth places now?
Hmm.
That's 30 points on its own.
Yes,
In and that's just over three races. He scored other points, but let's just use those three. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty certain that the team hasn't reached 30 points at all in the last couple of years over
yes,
the whole season.
yeah,
He's done it in three races.
yeah,
Just him alone, and he scored other points. And then Science has also scored a few points here and there. So Albon is having, let me tell you, he's putting himself back on the map. I can tell you that he's having an
yes,
absolute brilliant year,
brilliant.
and
Yes,
I think he's going to make a lot of the teams look now. I mean, you consider again, it's similar to Max. I asked this question: if Max had to leave Red Bull, where does he actually go? Because if you think about it, with Max, wherever he goes, he's going to take a lot of flame with him, a lot of fire, right?
yeah,
Um, you know, why would Toto, for example, because that would be the one place that people think he would go to, why would Toto want to give up a good working relationship with capable drivers just to have Max there, who's going to bring a lot of flame, a lot of fire, a lot of controversy? He's going to bring a lot of, do you know what I mean? Like, why would he do that? It wouldn't make sense. The two drivers he has are pretty capable. They're pretty good. All he needs to do is give them a good car, and there's a good working relationship. There's no flame. There's no fire. There's no, constant, you know, where again, you look at Ferrari. Why would Ferrari don't need Max now? Because they've got Lewis, they got Leclerc, and let's be honest, if Lewis has to retire, they can either go and get Sainz back. They've got Ollie Behrman waiting in the wings, who's also doing fairly okay. Um, so there isn't really a place for Max except for Aston Martin if
yeah.
Alonso now retires. It's the same applies to me for Albon. Albon is really putting himself on the map now where he's showing I'm ready to go. But where does he go? He will have to wait for Lewis to retire for them to maybe look at him. He would have to wait for Max to say, listen, to hell with F1, I'm done. Or he'd have to, but then he's got to fight that fight of, will Red Bull take me back, considering I stuffed it the last time with this car? Um, then he's got to look at, uh, maybe Mercedes dropping one of their drivers, which is highly unlikely because they're both doing quite well. In that case, the only option for him is to just stay where they are and hope that Williams really get back to winning ways, which, as much as I can see their progress, getting to winning, that's a whole different leap of faith
Yeah, yeah.
that you got to put into a team. Um, but he's putting himself on the map. My honest opinion, I could see Albon in a Ferrari. I could see it. If Lewis decides to hang up his boots, I can see a Leclerc and Albon team up in a Ferrari. I don't know why, but
I think
I can see that. Um,
I mean I think I can see it as well, but you must also understand who is the team principal of Ferrari as well. And Ferrari has always gone for kind of world champions. They've always gone for world champions all the
Mm,
time. There's a world champion, and the second driver probably not a world champion. It was a very unique time where
mm.
Reineken was there and Vettel was there, both world champions, right?
Okay.
Massa,
Yeah.
Massa and Schumacher. Massa's not a world champion. Schumacher is a world champion. So that's why I think, on my opinion, I do think that Ferrari is that aggressive that they would go for a Max, I think. But obviously, it 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 wouldn't be a great fit in terms of what you say, that Max comes with a lot of fire, a lot of
Mm,
flames, and Ferrari still runs their team very traditionally, the way Enzo used to run the team. So very
yeah.
debatable.
You say not a great fit, but I mean Schumacher came with the exact same flames. Let's be honest. so
Different, but
so
it's
it
different times
yeah.
though. It's different times.
I
So
just think I think yeah I think Max. The only reason why I can't picture him with Ferrari is just simply because I just don't see the guy wearing red.
people say that
I,
about
I
Lewis
just don't.
though. I don't understand. Like people say that
No,
about
no,
Lewis.
no. I could see Lewis wearing red. I could always see Lewis wearing red. I think Max. I don't know. For me, I think Max is going to stick with what he knows. If he leaves Red Bull, he'll go to Aston Martin because he's got Newey and Honda there. That's what I think that he'll stick to what he knows until he's ready to leave the sport. I think that's what's going to happen. Um, that's just my opinion. Of course, none of us know, so it doesn't actually matter. We can get into this argument and debate every single time, but it doesn't actually matter because nobody knows. All I'm saying though is that I can picture if Albon carries on like this, I can picture him in a Ferrari, and who knows, maybe Leclerc is that world champion by the time. You never know. You never know what happens next year. It's not like Lewis is going to hang up his boots next year. You know what I mean? So you never know. Anyways, uh, talking about Ferrari, let's get to that because you on Saturday tried to phone me and I couldn't pick up the phone, but after I put the phone down or after I killed it, you sent me a message saying I need to rant. Those were your words. I need to rant. And I thought leave it for the podcast, but you know what? And you can have your rant if you still want to rant, but
No, I've calmed down
I'm very
now.
proud. Yeah, I'm very proud of their performance. And I think all they needed was to figure something out for qualifying. All they need to do moving forward is just figure out a decent setup. Somebody said this today, and I certainly agree with it. Red Bull are really good at starting on the back foot on a
Yes,
weekend
yes,
and ending on the front foot. They're
yes.
really good at progressing from free practice one to qualifying. That car is almost a completely different car. And then in the race, so even better, right? Ferrari need to understand. Ferrari need to get that good balance between a qualifying car and a race car. Because here they qualified really badly, but my goodness, were they on fire in the race. If they could just qualify a little bit better, I think they would have track position. They would have had a solid weekend because they were blitzed this week in the race. My goodness, they were absolutely Hamilton. Let's give the man some flowers because we've given him a lot of hell this year. That man looked like the Hamilton I recall when he had a dominant Mercedes. He was going for it. He was like, I'm going to make this work. It was beautiful to watch. He was a possessed man. He was going for it. He wasn't scared to take moves. He wasn't scared to make overtakes. He felt comfortable in that car, it seemed, and he was just on it. We got to give that to him. Leclerc always on it, but of course, certain things didn't go his way. I still think Leclerc probably would have beaten Hamilton if he had just let Albon go.
Yeah,
um, but still, I think at the end of the day, Hamilton was pretty close and could have had that tussle with him. But both of them did a phenomenal job to get to where they were from where they started. So I'm going to leave it to you because you're the Ferrari guy. That's all I wanted to say. Well done to Ferrari. For all the nonsense you get from us and other fans about how your year has been so far, your pace in this race was absolutely phenomenal.
yeah. I mean,
To
first of
you, my
all,
man.
First of all, they had to fix what happened on Saturday because the Italian media was not going to play games with them, to be honest with you. Because I watched the post race interview with Hamilton, and Hamilton was speaking to this Italian reporter, and he literally said with a smile on his face, like, "Can you please say something nice now?" And that means Hamilton has been listening, reading the
Mm,
newspapers about media personalities all over the world, especially in Italy, criticizing Ferrari. And I think he just had to have a performance like that in front of Ferrari fans to actually rectify what happened on Saturday. And the only thing I can
mm,
say is that how come the setup for qualifying is not the same setup for the race? Is the car now more a Sunday car than a Saturday car? Because this started last year already. Last year, Leclerc was saying the same thing. Said on Saturdays we can't quite figure out what's wrong with the car or the actual setup we want. But on Sunday, the car performs very well. So that means
mm.
from last year's car to this new concept, that carried over. And now what makes it more tricky is that it's a new concept of a car, but it still has that one issue they had last year. So it kind of looks to me, it kind of looks like they find out certain things about the car, but it's not by them investigating. It's like pure luck. It's like, when you fix something,
Mm,
but you don't know how you fixed it, but it's fixed now. It's
yeah.
coming across that way to me because the way Hamilton
Mm,
answers questions on his post race interviews, it looks like that. It looks like he's like, wow, we found this. We didn't know we might find this, but we done the right setup. And the way they celebrate when they finally have the right setup, it's like they done it by pure luck, which is they still don't understand the concept of the car, which is quite frustrating. Because at the end of the
yeah.
race, Hamilton said we were blitzed today. We were fast, but if we were fast, if our qualifying session was better, we could have been on the podium.
Phew, with that pace, they could have maybe even gone for a win.
You see,
I mean,
so
the
that's
thing
I think
is,
that's the
look,
frustrating thing about this car. To be honest with you,
yeah, yeah, look, I think, look, I know why the setup is different between the race and qualifying because that's always the case. I mean, every car, every team
yeah,
has
yeah,
that, but it's about the balance, right? You either, we go to Monaco now, and that is when you completely just go for a qualifying setup,
yes,
qualify well, and then in the race you don't even need to be fast. You just need to be on it to keep the pace. That's it.
yes,
But ultimately, in certain races like fast tracks like this, you need to have that balance of not too much of a qualifying setup, but also not too much of a race trim
race.
setup.
So
It's sort
that
of like in
balance,
the middle.
yeah,
Yeah, you need to have that balance. But certain tracks good for qualifying setups. Certain, but I mean, it's we don't know what these setups are. I mean, I play the game, and you have to deal with setups on the game as well, and um, it's a lot of technicalities that go into it, even on the game. Never mind real life. You can imagine in real life what it's like. Um, and yeah, it's the same. It's the same in certain ways where sometimes on the game, even you set the car up and you qualify so well, but then come the race and you're sliding all over the place because your setup was so then you have to start going slower because your setup was so tuned in for quali that for the race it's actually just not good enough because you're just
mm-hmm.
spinning everywhere. Whereas when you do it the other way around, you don't really quali well, but then when you're in the race, you just stick so well because you got your wings are higher and so on. It just depends on the setup. It depends on what you want to prioritize. If it depending on how much track position means, considering the people around you. It was strange for me because in the past, Imola has not been one of the tracks where you see a lot of overtakes. I thought track position would be very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
So I was quite surprised that they didn't go with a more of a qualifying setup. And it's not that let's be honest, it's not that they didn't. We don't know what they did. Maybe they just had a bad qualifying, but it seemed both of them didn't qualify well. So it kind of feels like they went with a certain setup that didn't work. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Um, But yeah, I don't know if you're done. I'm ready to move on. There's only one more thing that I would like to just point out. Um, actually, two more things because we obviously got to talk about the rookie that came back into the circus this weekend, Colapinto. Um, I mean, didn't have the worst weekend.
Yeah,
Wasn't the greatest weekend. It's not like he was an absolute shiner. Um, but it didn't go that bad, I guess. He did have an accident, right? Was it him that got an accident?
yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
So yeah, I think that's a bit of an issue because if you recall last year, he did really well up until a point, and then after that, he had a couple of crashes, and that
Yeah.
was quite concerning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just hope that that's not the trend that's going to follow with him because I really do like the kid and I'm rooting for him. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to make that point just so that we're talking about the youngster that's come in now for one race. I do think it wasn't the worst weekend, but of course it's not a great weekend. Pierre, who had a really good qualifying, lost out trying
Yeah.
to battle with Leclerc. So that was unlucky for Pierre, but I do think had it not been for that, probably would have been passed by the Ferraris anyways, but probably possibly still would have gotten a top 10. But the one man I just want to talk about, just one guy I just want to talk about is Isaac Hadjar. I really think this kid is having an absolute debut of no, like he is having one of the best debuts that you could ever imagine. It's honestly he's done so well, and it's not that like for example someone like Kimi or whatever isn't. It's just he is really putting that car in places. I sometimes don't know if that car is even that.
Yeah.
It's clearly not a bad car, but he is doing some really good things in that car. And for somebody who's only been in the sport for 1 year, he's beating Yuki consistently now, and Yuki's in the big team.
Just
Think about that for a second.
yeah.
You know, I
He's
know it
beating
goes the
Lawson.
same
He's
way.
beating Lawson, bro. And Lawson's not his first season. He's been.
Yeah, yeah, we don't need to talk about Lawson. It's fine. Just talk about Hadjar. Okay, it's fine. Let's just. No, don't
The
worry.
heart
Like,
is
let's just talk
broken.
about Hadjar. Like, let's just don't worry about Lawson. He doesn't exist on this podcast.
I don't know what's going on
When he
there.
starts
Yeah,
when he starts scoring points, then he can exist on this podcast. Until then, he doesn't exist on this podcast.
it's been bad.
When I'm looking at the standings here, um, I don't even see his name. I just see
Wow.
14 and then it's just blank. Quite crazy. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe my computer's doing that on purpose. I don't know. Anyways, no, guys, I'm just joking. Isaac Hajar, just what a wonderful lad, and he is doing an absolute superb job. So well done to him. I really hope he continues because at this point, mate, look, I think it will probably damage his career. But at this point, you might as well try him in that second Red Bull
Nah,
because he
let's not.
clearly has got.
Nah, nah. Let's stop with that now. Let's stop with that.
Yeah,
But I understand what you're saying, but
it's
nah, we don't want to go through that
yeah,
again now.
yeah. But you get my point, though. It's
Yeah,
like I feel like at this point, it's like just again. In fact, I again at this point, just put Daniel Ricciardo back in the bloody thing because, like, let's be honest, dude. Like, it literally can't get any worse for this ticket. Anyways, let's I think it's a good time for us to move to the fun sectors. Um we're gonna start with the donkey of the race, which to me is quite a hard one to choose from. But I do have a couple. So I'm gonna let you go first, and then based on what you say, I will go with somebody else because of course it's boring to go with the same person. So who was your donkey of the race, BT?
I'm gonna give it to Norris and Piastri, bro.
Hey, they
Yeah,
on the podium.
doesn't matter. I'm gonna give it to
You
Piastri
are
and
wild with
Norris.
these things, mate.
I'm
You are
sorry,
so
bro.
wild with these. I mean, the point of calling it a donkey is because they're slow. McLaren wasn't slow. They were
It
just
doesn't matter. They didn't take advantage of their positions, bro. Except for Norris, which has had a bad qualifying anyway session.
hmm.
For the car that he has. Piastri, you mentioned at the start of the podcast, you focus on the wrong person.
Mm,
He's leading the championship. He should be sharp. He should know who's the main threat. Russell's not even close to him in the
mm,
championship. Why is he focusing on on Russell? So I'm going to be
mm,
hard on him
mm.
and Norris as well. Donkeys. And it's not because how fast the
Cool.
car is the potential of the car and the potential of the driver as well. That's the way I look at it as well.
Fair enough. So you say that even though they're fast, they're still a bunch of donkeys. Okay,
Yes, the should
that's
have won.
fine.
Remember,
I'm
remember,
sure
re-
somewhere in the
remember Mercedes when Mercedes was dominating. Mercedes was winning
mm,
every race and races they're supposed to win. I feel like McLaren is letting certain races slide, which is it's a
mm,
dangerous game to play. Max
I
didn't.
think they've only
Max.
let two
Max.
races slide.
Yeah. Max won every race except for Singapore. That man meant business that season. McLaren are letting
Well,
certain
Red Bull
races.
won.
Yes, Red Bull, but McLaren is playing a dangerous game, and there's one guy who will take full advantage of that. Imagine now,
Mm,
McLaren is lucky that Ferrari is not where they were supposed to be or everyone hoped to be. Because if Ferrari also had a good car, trust me, Hamilton will be there. Even
mm.
Leclerc. Even
Yeah, I
Leclerc.
agree. I agree.
So that's how I'm looking at it, basically.
Okay, well, I'm sure somewhere in the world there's a fast donkey somewhere, so it's okay. I get it. It's fine. But I accept your understanding of it. I guess if that's how you feel, I'm gonna go with George. And now you know
Wow.
my relation. But now you know my relationship with George. And you know that I've given him. I think I've probably given George the most flowers this year than anybody, coming from somebody who just really doesn't like him. Although this year he's given me some reasons to say, oh, maybe he's not that bad. But ultimately, he had a really good start. He qualified third.
Yes.
He had a good start. He got cut off a little bit because of Piastri having to brake, and he just had nothing in the car. Ended up seventh. Now, whether that was the car or whether he just wasn't on it, I don't know. But for somebody who's found a way to be on the podium when you never knew they were even there, um, I I feel like this race just didn't go his way at all. So I'm gonna give my vote to Russell. Of course, you can also talk about the Gaslys, the Colapintos, the
Yeah.
Bortoletos. You can talk about them, but those are obvious choices. I think for me, George Russell is a good one to because out of all the front runners, he's definitely the one who should have or could have done a lot better. I mean, that Mercedes is still a good car,
Yes.
you know. We talk about upgrades, right? So Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. No, Mercedes.
No, I think
They
I saw
all brought
Mercedes as well.
upgrades. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari brought downgrades. The rest brought upgrades. Um,
Totally
yeah,
qualifying,
but
man.
yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to make that joke. Anyways, I'm just joking. Anyways, okay. So donkey of the race is George Russell.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one? Stallion race. Who's your stallion? Who's your stallion of the race?
The Lewis, bro. I have to give it to that
Yeah,
man.
fair enough. You don't even need to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even need to explain it. And I'm gonna go with Albon. I think that's also a fair one. I also don't think I need to explain much. I think a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, what about Max? He won the race." Yeah, but he did have a good car this weekend. It looked like that car was definitely up there. Like in Suzuka, it was like, yeah, Max for sure. Because in Suzuka, you're still thinking Red Bull have like the third, fourth best car.
Yeah.
But in this race, I mean, he pulled away twice in the race. He definitely had a fast car, right? So I'm not gonna, it's Max. We know Max. He should do that. If he's got a good car, he should be doing that because we know him,
Yes.
right? If he wasn't doing that, then I would be like, he's a donkey because now I'm worried. Why is he not doing that? Because this is Max Verstappen. So we're not going to go for Max here. We're going to go with Lewis and I'm going to go with Albon. I think those are two very, very, if you talk about power rankings that F1 does, I think Lewis and Albon definitely have to be on the top of that list for this weekend. I don't even know who got driver of the day, to be honest, but I wouldn't be
Yeah, me
surprised if it
too.
was Max because it's a popularity contest and whatnot. Anyways, those are our two drivers of the day. Let's just leave it there. Moment of the weekend. Um, I'm gonna go first with this one. You can think about what yours is. Mine's
Hmm.
pretty clear and pretty simple, and it's probably going to be the same as pretty much everybody else's moment of the weekend. But that turn one, it like it can't not be someone's moment of the weekend. Of course, you don't have to be boring, so you can choose something different. But in general, that can't be anybody's. I mean, that was just phenomenal. It changed what the race's outcome was going to be. I think
Yeah.
had Oscar actually made it through and stayed in the front, he probably would have ended up winning the race. So Max's Bulls of Steel literally won him the race. So that's mine.
Yeah,
Your turn.
mine is not race focused or anything like that. Mine is Kimi Antonelli bringing his classmates to the circuit on Friday. That was cool. I mean,
Was
that's
that
amazing.
real? Was that real?
Yeah, yeah, he brought his classmates to the circuit on Friday. It's a flex. Like,
That
imagine,
is
bro.
that is so sick.
Yeah,
That is so
yeah,
sick.
that was cool.
I heard about it, but I thought it was like some kind of joke because
No,
he's
no,
so
no,
young
he,
or
no,
whatever.
he did, bro.
But
He
like
did,
that is so sick. Imagine being one of his classmates. Like you don't even know if he's your friend. He's just in your class. He's just like inviting
bro.
you to come and watch him racing. It's
Like,
like
yeah, that was a major
that
flex.
must
I
be
found
mad.
that cool. Yeah, that was cool,
That's
actually.
that is, but it's a nice touch, right? I mean, just imagine Max like just bringing all of his mates just from school, just sitting there watching it. It's like imagine being mates with one of these guys, right? Being in their class, and then yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
I
crazy.
mean, it's like Lewis
That's
Hamilton, bro.
crazy.
I'm sure Lewis
Mm.
Hamilton gets calls every race by a celebrity. Like, look, I'm coming
I think
through
a lot of these.
Ferrari garage. Yeah. Surely gets calls
Mm.
like that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these guys were homeschooled. I think Kimmy is quite the anomaly. I think most of these guys were probably homeschooled. I think
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. Just putting it out there. Anyways, so listen. So that's pretty much all we have for today. However, we do have a couple minutes, and instead of doing the two podcast thing, why don't we just do the predictions now, get it over and done with, and the viewers here can, the one or two people watching, including Dirk, um,
Was
can at
missing.
least just, yeah, can at least just, instead of having to go and watch a whole new episode late in the week, just finish watching this one. We'll add another couple minutes to it. It shouldn't take too long, anyways. Okay, so I'm gonna just recap what we have done previously. There's no ways that Dirk is winning this with all of his absenteeism. In fact, I should actually send out a detention letter because, as far as I remember, three times that you are late or not at school, you get detention. So,
Yeah.
Dirk, just remember when you join again, you are on detention. Um, and you're probably not going to be winning the championship because we don't have. To be fair, we should make it fair. I should actually get his. I was actually meant to ask him for his predictions, but I completely forgot. But it's okay, Dirk. What I'll do is I'll give Dirk the average between yours and my points,
No, no, no.
just
Why?
so that he's got something.
I'm the one that's
Yeah,
taking
just to be
risks,
fair,
but I'm taking the risk here. My
you took
predictions
no
are
risks.
way, way off. Way off. Surely. Yeah. There we go. Exactly. 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 Exactly.
Man thought, man thought Hamilton was still in a McLaren, or it's like he's living 20 years ago.
Did I
Okay,
say
guys,
Hamilton on pole?
let's
Damn.
let's
Okay.
do this. So BT Imola for pole position. Who did you put out there for pole position?
I did say Hammy.
You just said, yeah, you did say Hamilton. So right, nothing. Graham, who did you choose for
Piastri.
Imola pole position? Norris.
Oh. Oh.
Nothing, nothing. BT, who did you go for your top three for Imola? You went for Hamilton, Norris, Leclerc.
Mm,
The good news is
Got
You
notice.
got 2 points.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's pretty good. That puts you into the double digits finally, man. It's about time. It took you a while.
whatever. Whatever.
Cool. And I went for Norris, Piastri, Leclerc. So I also get 2 points because one for Norris, one for Piastri, being one away. And Leclerc nothing. So I get 2 points as well, and I'm looking comfortably in the lead here. I'm just putting that out there. Anyways, let's talk about the bold predictions. You were very close.
I know.
It was very possible.
I know.
You said, do you remember what you said?
Lap one,
Max and
Verstappen and Piastri collide. Very close.
yeah, you said Max and yeah, you were super super close, but you didn't get anything. Sorry,
But
you didn't get
I
any
think when
half
you
points or
close,
nothing.
look, I think when you close, you should get like a half a point or something, like a 0.5.
I think I think you should just calm down. Okay, I think you
Okay.
should just relax. Okay,
Okay.
just relax.
Okay.
Like listen, yeah, let's just calm down. Okay, because I mean, in that case, I could be close, man. The amount of times that I've had Lawson,
Oh,
points. He came 11th once, man. Cool. Um, I said there will be two or more safety cars.
ooh, and you got it.
I don't think I did because
It's a
there was
virtual. Oh
one
yeah,
safety
yeah, yeah,
car
yeah.
and one
Other one
virtual
was
safety car.
yeah. Okay, cool. Yep.
So I'm gonna be the honest guy. Yeah, you see, I could have taken that point now. I could have fought for that. But you see, people. This is the thing. The difference here is that I'm honest, and BT will fight for every little bit that he can get. But I'm just gonna say it's fine. I don't need. I'm joking.
Get it? It's
If I
fine.
was behind, I'd also be fighting for every ball.
I can't wait till you ask me for my predictions for Monaco. They're gonna be wild. They're going to be wild.
Yeah, Lawson for the win. No, not that one. Not that wild. Okay. Well, I'm about to ask you. So let's get into the Monaco predictions. Let's wrap this up and go into the Monaco predictions. BT, pole position, please. Don't say Ferrari, any Ferrari. Just give me the pole prediction.
I'm going Leclerc.
Dude, you
I'm
didn't
going
hear me.
Leclerc.
Wait, sorry.
I'm going Leclerc.
Okay, okay. Um, who got pole position last year?
Leclerc.
Probably Piastri or Norris, eh? Did he? Yes, he did. Eh?
Yes, Leclerc won the race last year. So
Yeah, that is true. Hey, he did.
yeah.
But they did have a good car last year in comparison. I'm gonna go with. Oh, it's so difficult between Norris and Piastri. It's literally 50-50. Cause yeah, I'm gonna just throw in. I'm gonna
Ooh,
go Piastri.
wow. Bold
Piastri.
move.
Is it bold? Nah, I don't think it's bold. I think it's quite safe, to be honest, which probably not shouldn't admit that, but it's fine. Anyways. Cool. Give me your top three then. What's your top three?
Threes.
Got it.
Leclerc, Russell,
Got it.
Norris.
Got Russell. Did you put Russell above the McLaren? Okay. All right then. Your predictions. I am going to go with Piastri, Max.
Wow. And you just said
Not.
and you just said the Red Bull's not gonna do one in Monaco. Okay.
You know, you
Okay.
know, you know, you know, you know what it is, hey? You can either be right in one way or you can be wrong both ways. I would at least try to be right one way. So either they're gonna be really bad or at least I'll get the prediction right. You know what I mean? It's hedging my bets, bro. It's hedging my bets. You gotta be class at gambling. You need to know how to gamble. Shouldn't admit that. That's probably not a good thing. Because I'm just joking. I'm not a gambler. I work in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
Well, we work in the industry, so my gambling days are long gone. Anyways, I'm basically hedging my bets here. Um, anyways, it's got nothing to do with anybody else. BT, give me your bold prediction
Whole
of
prediction is that
Monaco.
Piastri will actually collide during Q2 in qualifying.
That's quite specific. You sure you want to do that? Piastri
Okay, collide,
collide.
collide any
Yeah,
of the
just
three
Piastri
quarters.
crash.
Yeah,
Just Piastri crash.
during qualifying. Yeah,
Piastri crash this weekend. Oh, in qualifying. In
yeah,
qualifying.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Piastri crash in qualifying. Cool. I am gonna go with Max double overtake into turn one.
Nah, you're reaching, bro.
Just think about it, bro.
Nah, you're reaching. That is a reach.
Just think about it. Just think about it, right? If Norris and Piastri are both on the that if they both qualify ahead of Max and Max just takes an outside around both of them on, come on.
Nah, you're reaching.
Maybe, wait, okay, so let me just make this a little bit more clear. So Max double overtake into turn one, maybe not into turn one, out of turn one. I'm gonna say. So what that means is, if for example they come out of turn one and on that straight he's able to pass the second one, then he's passed. That's two overtakes in the first lap basically. But it doesn't. Yeah, yeah. Let me say that double overtake in the first lap.
Okay. Sure. This is
Okay.
Monaco, eh? But anyway.
You,
Oof.
you know what's nice about that? You know what's nice about this? If he qualified 14th and he took two people on the first lap, I'm still winning. You see, you got to be clever because this is
Yeah,
quite a
yeah.
bold predictions, but it's
No,
also
no,
quite a
it's
good
not.
one because it's
Nah, you're
possible.
just cheating the system now. That's what you're doing. Yeah.
Sometimes when you're good, mate. Just sometimes when you're good, bro. You
Okay.
need to know the rules. You need to know the rules, bro, and you need to be able to play them. Just like Max, bro. You just need to know where. Anyways, let's just end it here, guys. I am starting to ramble now because I'm getting tired. And listen, before we go, we do have to rate the race. So, BT, why don't you give me the rating of the Imola race for 2025 out of 10? You are going with a solid
7.5.
7.5. Nice. Okay. I like that. I think I'm going to back that. I don't think it was quite as good as.
Yeah.
What was the last race? Miami. Yeah. Yeah, it's Miami, right?
Yeah, Miami. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it was quite as good as Miami. And I think I said 8 for Miami. But it actually really was a good race. So I'm going to go 7.5. I like that. I like that. So 7.5 all around from us two guys on the Imola race. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the Imola race. What do you rate it out of 10? Chat to us, guys. Chat to us. We will respond. Chat to us there. And please hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the all of them buttons. Follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram. Just follow us everywhere. You know what I mean? I don't know why. It's one of these things. There is an unfortunate thing, and that means that unfortunate thing is that you are going to have to stare at BT's face for quite some time. But if you follow us, it would really help us. You know what I mean? So it's just a sacrifice for a sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like if you stare into BT's
I'm not
face,
bad
we'll
looking,
give
by
you
the
good
way.
content.
I'm not bad looking, by the way. So
I know your
it is
mom's
what it
been
is.
telling you that all your life, bro, but it's, for me, it's a different story. Anyways, I'm just joking, guys. Have a very, very good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a very, very good, I said evening, but day, afternoon, doesn't matter. Wherever you are, have a good one, and we'll see you in the
Cheers.
next episode. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Just in time to say goodbye.
I don't know what happened.
Cheers, guys. Bye. Okay, let's stop that. One.